better. So this is something new that we're going to be doing. I'm not going to do this very often, but we have never done a live stream on this channel. Partially because I don't know how active 507 subscribers are going to be, although thank you so much for being subscribed. But I figure, right now I'm kind of in a position where I can't be editing videos the way I typically edit them. So let's just try something new. Let's do a brief little live stream so that I can talk about this little news story. If people show up and chat and everything like that, then great. That's absolutely wonderful. And if no one shows up, there's no hard feelings. This was just an experiment anyway. So let's talk about the story, because some Michael Jackson songs have been removed from music platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music, I believe. And they're not being removed for the reasons you would think. It's not because the big companies decide they finally want to put Michael Jackson's music to rest. The music is way too successful for anyone to really get rid of the music. Even the Stark Raving Dad episode from The Simpsons that was pulled from syndication and all those things, apparently you can still get it on a couple of streaming services out there, so even that episode seems to be semi-unretired or unbanned. But no, these Michael Jackson songs are being removed because they are at the center of a lawsuit from Michael Jackson fans. Now, for those of you who have not heard of the album Michael, Michael is the first posthumous, post-death release album from Michael Jackson. The Michael Jackson's estate decided to start releasing albums of unreleased material, and they released a 10-track album called Michael. And I thought it was a pretty good album, and it has, the songs are mostly good. I love the cover artwork. If there's one disappointing thing about this live aspect is that I can't actually show you the Michael cover art, but do me a favor when this is done. Go look it up. It's a beautiful artwork piece. But here's the thing. 3 of those tracks have been contested by Michael Jackson fans that Michael Jackson did not actually sing them. That it was a ghost singer, if you will. And the Jackson family estate has denied this. They have said that is Michael's voice and that there was no scam or anything like that. But then things got really heated when somebody who claimed to be the vocals on one of the tracks, specifically the track Monster, came forward and said that that was his vocals, not Michael Jackson's vocals, and he wanted to confess. Well, after a while, eventually a class action lawsuit has been filed against Sony for basically misleading people about the authenticity of the tracks on that album. Now, that being said, there have been no similar claims to a second post-release release album from Michael Jackson to say called Escape with an X instead of ES, so, kind of like. So there might be some legitimate concerns about these songs. Personally, I liked the songs. I especially liked Monster. But I have to admit, after the claims were brought up and I re-listened to them, there was something a little off. If it was Michael, he was probably not in the best of health. And if it's not Michael, well, then that would make sense why it sounds so off. Now, the lawsuit has not been settled. It has not been ruled on. But apparently, at least someone higher up is saying enough is enough. We're just going to remove the tracks in dispute, and that's what we've got. This comes to us from Variety, and the article says, disputed Michael Jackson songs, which fans claim were sung by a different vocalist, removed from streaming services. So, 3 songs from the posthumous 2010 Michael Jackson album Michael, which some fans have long insisted were not sung by the late artist, have been removed from streaming services. A statement from Jackson's estate and Sony Music, which acquired the rights to unreleased material from the singer's vaults in a blockbuster $250 million deal in 2010, says the songs were removed in an effort to, quote, move beyond the controversy, but effectively maintains that the vocals were not faked. Quote, nothing should be read into this action concerning the authenticity of the tracks, it emphasizes. The estate of Michael Jackson and Sony Music decided to remove the tracks Breaking News, Monster, and Keep Your Head Up from the 2010 album Michael as the simplest and best way to move beyond the conversation associated with these tracks once and for all, the statement issued Tuesday reads. Continuing with the statement, The album's remaining tracks remain available. Nothing should be read into this action concerning the authenticity of the tracks. It is just time to move beyond the distractions surrounding them, it concludes. The songs in question have been the center of an unusually aggressive legal campaign by fans that ultimately was won by the estate in 2018. So I guess the estate, this thing was settled with the estate. The estate won. They were reportedly recorded in 2007 with songwriter-producers Edward Cascio and James Porte 2 years before the Jacksons' death from an accidental overdose. Fans have long claimed that an American vocalist named Jason Malachi actually sang the 3 songs, and he purportedly admitted as much in a 2011 Facebook post, according to TMZ, although his manager later denied it, claiming the post was faked. The legal action began in 2014 when a fan tried to land a class action suit claiming that the album's liner notes, which list Jackson as the singer, are actually a misrepresentation under California's unfair competition law and the Consumers Legal Remedies Act. However, the appeals court ruled that because the estate and Sony did not know for certain whether Jackson sang on the 3 songs, the album's cover and promotional materials were protected by the First Amendment. Interesting. Under these circumstances, appellant's representatives about the identity of the singer amounted to a statement of opinion rather than fact, wrote California appellate Justice Elwood Liu at the time. The lack of personal knowledge here also means that appellant's challenges statements do not fit the definition of speech that is less likely to be chilled by proper regulation. So that's all really interesting in my opinion, and it kind of goes to show how messy this situation really has become. Now, I do question why they chose now to take down the songs. The Jackson estate won the lawsuit. Like the judge basically said that, there was no way to prove this wasn't Michael Jackson. And, the songs have been circulated for quite some time. So forgive me if I have a hard time believing that there isn't something behind this. Like maybe this is an admission of guilt that Michael Jackson did not sing on these tracks. On the other hand, maybe it is just time to move on. Maybe you just lick your wounds. I think these songs are not listened to that much anyway as a result of the controversy, and so they have been removed from streaming services. Now, what has not been stated here is whether or not they will be removed from the album, the actual physical CD album. Now, I'm not even sure if the album is still in production. CDs have definitely taken a, let's just say, dive in popularity, and they don't make nearly as many. I still get some CDs from my favorite artists, but they tend to be in very limited quantities, and most of them aren't even opened because even though I'm buying the CDs, I'm still streaming them on the streaming platforms anyway. But now this is one of those rare instances where having the physical CD might have actually been a really good thing, because these songs, unless you have the physical CD, are gone. They're still on my iPod, they're still on my iCloud service, but if I were to just go into Apple Music and Spotify to listen to them, I probably couldn't. Now, you can probably listen to these songs on YouTube Music because you can listen to an audio file that some fan has uploaded, and that is entirely possible. But it seems for all intents and purposes, these songs are officially decanonized. Not that that wasn't in and of itself a controversy already, because there are some fans who believe that unreleased Michael Jackson work should remain unreleased because it was unreleased for a reason. Michael Jackson was a perfectionist, and he recorded dozens, if not hundreds, of songs that never saw the light of day because he ultimately wasn't happy with the quality of the songs. But as the very first track on Michael claimed, the one where he did a duet with Akon, like Jackson apparently was still working on that song, and it wasn't up to his standards by the time he died, and Akon felt that the song should probably not be released because it was not up to Michael Jackson's high standards, and he didn't have the final touch. And yet, that song, which I believe was called Hold My Hand, was a very, very good song, and I think Michael Jackson fans would have regretted or missed out on not hearing it. It's a shame that the rest of the album kind of has this controversy about whether or not it's authentic or not. So now the Michael album is kind of in an interesting collector's market because it has 3 songs that have officially been pulled, and I don't think they're ever going to release them. I don't think they want to open that can of worms again. And now I kind of wonder if by delisting the songs, if that's not going to make the CD more of a hot commodity. This is kind of one of those situations on why, while it's rare, it's still worth buying physical media for music you really truly want to own, because one day, for whatever reason, the stuff could be removed. Now, it's rare. I mean, if R. Kelly stuff has not been removed from any of these platforms, despite the 30-year sex conviction, where he was found guilty of doing some pretty nasty things, then, I think it's pretty safe to say that most music will stay on these platforms. But on the other hand, Smash Mouth, or one of Smash Mouth's best albums, Summer Girl, not currently available on any music streaming service except YouTube Music through fan channels. So who knows? Anyway, that's the story, and that's where we're going to leave it right here. I would like to know what your thoughts on this are. Do you think those songs were written and sung by Michael Jackson? Do you think Sony was right to remove these songs? And now that they are removed, even if you didn't like them because you didn't think Michael Jackson sung them, are you now happy to have that CD if you ever bought it? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Now with doing live, I have to reach over to turn this off.